This video log is about the hallmarks of qualitative research and relating that to how I might use qualitative research in my group's research project. So, qualitative research is a subjective type of research where you're looking at the experiences and opinions and asking the why and the how questions of the research, as opposed to quantitative research, which is the numbers and the facts and the figures and the data and the what question. So I found that qualitative research, in my experience and in just seeing things and reading things, qualitative research is used much more often in social research, so research that has to do with people. Whereas quantitative research is the research that I do all the time in my genetics labs and chemistry and science and stuff. So the hallmarks of qualitative research are that it doesn't just deal with numbers. It often is on a smaller scale, because instead of being able to collect really simple facts from lots of different people, like what race are you, what age are you, what gender are you, it is a lot more of like the why and the how and the experiences behind those simple questions. So it goes a little bit deeper, and often it means that you can't have as many subjects in your population because it requires so much more time and effort to get that, and also to code it and to analyze it and that kind of stuff. So that would be an example of that. Would be like, what has your experience being a black female been, rather than just are you black, are you a female. So my group is probably going to use some form of qualitative research in our brainstorming, since we're not actually doing the research, because our topic thus far isn't solidified, but it looks like it's going to be about the identities of facilitators, specifically looking at the target identity, and just talking about like what that experience is like. And there's no way that we can ask that question in a quantitative way unless we maybe use like a Likert scale, or want like a quantitative aspect to make a mixed methods approach. But it looks more like it'll be a qualitative research approach or method approach. So one where we can say, what was this experience like? Was it triggering? Why was it triggering? How did you handle it? And then get that individual experience from the interviewee, and then kind of code that data and the data from all the other interviewees and find common themes. So that is how we would use qualitative research in our group's research project. Some different types of qualitative research that I've heard of are focus groups and interviews, which would be useful and I think are pretty practical considering the resources we have, and that's what we used for our research project last year about identity, dating, and marriage. Some other qualitative methods that I think are really neat. Lisa told us about, I heard about it last year also, but Lisa told us about the photo blogging or photo story. I'm not sure what it's called exactly, but it sounded so cool. And when we got to like see some examples of pictures that would be used in this form of qualitative research, it really was neat. I'm not sure if we could use that with our group's research project, but I think the idea is really cool. Also, I think that the social media thing is pretty cool. I think that it'd be useful in a lot of cases, and it's taking advantage of the resources and the technology advances that we have. However, I also, again, don't think that would really work for our research project. Another one that comes to mind is ethnography, and I wonder, another one is narrative. I think narrative could definitely be used in our group's research project if we were just like saying tell us about your dialogue experience, and maybe that like target identity would come out, and those experiences and that data that we were looking for would come out. But another one that I thought of was ethnography, and so my understanding is that you immerse yourself in the culture and you have a long-term exposure to the culture and being a part of it, so that you try to eliminate some of the bias, the researcher bias. But I wonder if there's a way that you can do an ethnographic sort of approach with dialogue, so where the researcher could observe and pick up and watch those things happen, and like watch the triggers and watch the target identity being acted, like how the facilitator with the target identity is acting and being reacted to, etc., and then having them elaborate on that. I don't know if that would cause more researcher bias or less researcher bias, because then they get an extra picture of it, but they also have the opportunity to interpret a little bit more. Not really sure, but I think it'd be interesting. And I think that qualitative research is extremely important in social research, and I think that it will probably play a role in our group's research project brainstorming, which I'm excited to get underway. And so with that, I will end this video.